Hello people, and welcome back to Broken Britain. So, is Britain being washed of its identity? Just something that I've been thinking about, because I'm sure you guys are aware of this, but, it's becoming increasingly more obvious that it's becoming difficult to, just be a patriot of your country. It seems a thing of, other cultures can have their celebrations, which I think is great. I just want to be clear here. I think every culture, every, religion should have their chance to celebrate whatever they want to celebrate. But I think we have to remember that we are also in Britain, and Britain is a Christian country. So it shouldn't be a thing where, British people, British patriots should feel, guilty or, awkward or uncomfortable to celebrate their own beliefs and culture and, being British. And for me, I think that's where the problem lies. It seems to me like it's a thing of we're very tolerant and accepting and embracing of other cultures and celebrating other cultures, but they're not allowing British culture to then be celebrated. Like I've seen this, like I've heard about it in schools and things like that, where, if you was wearing something like a Union Jack, they'll say, take it down because like it's offensive. And it's like, you're in Britain. Why is it offensive to wear a Union Jack? Like that's just showing pride in your country. What's wrong with that? But, others can wear, a badge of their country or whatever, a flag of their country, and that's fine. Which, again, I think it is fine. But that's why in Britain, you should also be allowed to fly your flag of your country. This is where you live. And so I think this is where the concern comes from me. And it goes a bit deeper than this, because I saw a video before, and it was in Spain. And basically, there was a lot of immigrants who'd got to Spain. And what happened was they all started ganging up, and then there was basically marching through the town. And there was basically, chanting religious chants. There was making up religious chants as there was marching through the town. And there happened to be a old homeless man. I believe he was homeless anyway, but he was an old man, and they bumped into him. And I don't know what got said, but they ended up attacking the man. And I'm just like, this is the scary part of what this could be, because it could be a thing where you let this culture continue to thrive and let it kind of dictate what their desires are, but it then becomes a thing where like we're just the British people are actually like the victims here, and it's like we can't even just celebrate British culture. You can't even just celebrate your own days that would be to celebrate things of British importance and things like that, like certain holidays and stuff. And it's like where does that end? And to what degree could it become a very scary problem? Like, for example, like if immigrants come here and they're of whatever religion, could they then gang up and start wanting to enforce their religious beliefs on us and, turn violent? Because, look, I'm not speaking for all immigrants when I say this, of course not. But you've got to understand, some of these are coming from like war-torn countries. And so a lot of them might have like violent backgrounds, like things that they've been through and things like that. And so they might have things where they have a violent nature. And again, I'm not trying to just stereotype. I'm not saying that's all of them, but I've seen evidence of this. Like that video of Spain was very alarming to me. And so this is where I think about things about where we're heading. And I just wonder, like, what could the end result be here? Because to me, the way I look at it is this. Yes, other cultures should be allowed to celebrate days of, their country and things like that. That's fine. But the British people should be able to celebrate days of their own culture too. Like, the way I just see it is, if you're coming to a country that is, let's, just say Britain is a Christian country, it's not to say that you now have to become a Christian, but you have to accept that, you're coming to a culture where that is the primary belief here. And so it's not a thing to say, you guys have to turn Christian, but you have to respect that. You have to understand that, okay, maybe I'm a whatever religious type of person, like a Hindu or a Sikh or a Muslim in this country, but that's fine. They can do whatever they want to do, and I'm going to do whatever I want to do, right? Like, that's the way it should be. But I do believe that the British people and the patriots should be able to be patriotic about their country. They should be proud, and they should have that chance to celebrate and be able to, show their pride in their country. I don't think that's a bad thing, because at the end of the day, we're all here and we're all just trying to show pride in our country the same way the other people will be, like people of other backgrounds, of other cultures and whatnot and religion. So it's fine both ways, right? But it feels like the UK getting so scared of trying to come across in the way that they are as like, yes, we're this British Christian country. They're so scared that they're pandering. But they're pandering to a point where they're making themselves look weak and they're allowing their own identity, like their own British identity, to be washed away out of fear that they're like, you know, appearing like they're being racist or something like that. And to me, that's what I think's wrong. It's like you're already letting these other cultures be celebrated. You're letting them have their days and celebrate. So let the British people have their day too. They should have the right to celebrate their day too. It works both ways. That's just my opinion. And that's the thing for me where it's like, if it continues like this and they keep, you know, like banning certain days that are like, you know, British celebratory days, or not allowing the people to, you know, put up like, for example, like a British flag or something like that, saying it's wrong to put up a British flag or something. Like if you're going to continue to do these things, then it's going to be a thing of what is Britain anymore? We won't know, because we won't know the origins, because it's being completely washed out. And it's going to get to a point where we don't even recognise it as a country as British people. You know, how could we even show pride when we don't even know what Britain is anymore? And that's the scary part of it. So yeah, I just thought I'd share my thoughts on this, because I just thought this is something that could be a problem if it was to continue on. I think at the end of the day, every culture has the right to celebrate their country, their religion, but so do the British people. And that's exactly the point. Like, the British people matter too, and we're in Britain. So this should be the place where you see the most of Britain being celebrated, because this is Britain, so this is where it should be celebrated at the maximum, at the most. So yeah, guys, you let me know your thoughts. I'm definitely interested to hear. But yeah, I just thought it's interesting to see how this is all panning out. But hopefully change comes soon. Don't forget to share, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one.